This is a special edition of Cooking with Meris. We have our longtime friend and colleague here with us, Jeorge Tripps from Way Huge. So Jeorge and I and Angelo all met working at Line 6 in the relatively early days, around 1999, 2000-ish.
When did you start?
I started right at the beginning of 2000.
Yeah, I was October of '99.
October of 98. I was December of 98. You were right out of school, and you were right out of school.
Same thing, right out of school. Yeah, when I got there, they had me kind of in the DSP position, but kind of helping out the guys who were already set up and running on the 4x4 modelers. So, and you, as the product manager.
Yeah. You got to explain to people what the 4x4.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's internal name, DL, MM, FM, and DM, AM. Those are the Stompbox modelers, and that's where we started working together.
That dark green one is literally the first DL4 ever made, first working one. So that's Alpha 1. Still works. I don't know what code's in it. It's early stuff. It doesn't have a lot of the models and shit. And then the shitty looking one is that's Beta 1 for testing. So we beat the hell out of that thing.
Did you completely shut Way Huge down?
Yeah. I mean, I finished up, basically any parts, and got rid of. I was selling stuff cheap. I shut it all down and then went deep into those.
But I remember you doing maybe a handful of charity stuff over the years.
Yeah, I did a few things just for fun, just, because...
I'm assuming that you probably read the Craig Anderton book when you were a young lad, right? Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah. And then what was the first spark of creativity or idea, or what happened to make you say, like, I'm going to build a Way Huge pedal?
I mean, it started before I even moved to LA. I had the Anderton book, and I built a Talkbox.
Oh, nice.
I still have it, and I went to Radio Shack and bought, some little like plastic horn.
Right.
Hacksawed it off, and I fit the horn in one of my old 35 millimeter developing cans. I still have it, and that was the first thing. And then I built a tone box where it was just like, the caps and a tone control on a guitar.
Oh, yeah, I
had a lot of
project.
Switches. Yeah, it was just really
It was a rotary
simple.
switch, right?
No, I had little toggle switches.
Oh, okay.
It was like something it's long gone. I just bought a plastic box and lots of little caps, and it was terrible. And that was sort of the first pedal. And then I moved to LA and really didn't like going to school.
Okay.
And started building pedals out of the Anderton book again, which was the Tube Sound Fuzz.
Right.
Which became the Red Llama.
Awesome. Yeah, totally. With the CMOS inverters.
So just
cool.
running around Radio Shack. There was a little electronics store I'd go to, Pacific Radio, just finding parts and figuring it all out. So yeah.
I had the privilege of working with you on a couple of your pedals. The super rare Octavia, and then the Super Puss.
Still have yours?
I have both. Yeah.
The Octavia was fun because that was just a project just to do something analog while we're at Line 6. So you did the circuit board. Dale did like the mechanical. Jason Lynn did the art.
Yeah.
And then only 11 were built.
Right.
Just fun.
And then Super Puss.
And you did the MCU code on that.
I did a little bit of code. I did a little bit of, I did the circuit board, and then MXR redid.
Yeah, Jack brought it all in because doing outside, I mean, you guys know this, you've done it. It gets really complicated, with, especially building things where it's like, parts, our system.
Yeah, building for production.
So Jack ended up kind of doing everything to sort of fit.
I have a memory and actually some pictures of me building the first Super Puss prototype in Gina and I's dining room table.
I still have some of those somewhere.
Do you? The red ones?
I don't know if they work or not because, it was like constantly tweaking on stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I have storage lockers full of crap. Yeah.
George and I have a long history of working together on projects at Line 6. And the questions I'm going to ask are around kind of our experiences, kind of just dealing with that early digital world together. So George, that's one of the things I was thinking about is these pedals that we made existed in a very different time. Pedals came either with batteries and power supplies, and pedal boards weren't really an issue. So what were you thinking about with these early high current digital pedals? Like, what were the challenges?
I wasn't. So basically I came in and the 4x4s, as they were known internally, were already sort of in process. The look, sort of the design, all that was already there. I kind of helped develop the sound and sort of the look, picking the colors and the names and whatnot. And then you came in right when we were just finishing up the DL4. I remember working on the looper, and then you started beta testing those things for us.
Yeah, I came in. I remember the Line 6 lunch. We had it at the manufacturing facility in Woodland Hills. And I remember the first ones being opened up in the box, and
right.
Yeah.
Came in.
Yeah, Tal trying them out, and yeah, that's where I started. I was writing just some test code, like self-test code for the DL4 and MM4, and testing them out. And that kind of early work transitioned into kind of my first real DSP project, which was the DM4.
Yeah, that would be the first one we worked on together as a project.
Yeah.
All I remember is you showing me, you were working on the Octavia, and there was some broken code. It was all fucked up, and I was like, that's really cool. It did some weird stuff. I don't even remember what. I'm like, can we save that? Because I didn't even I was still learning all this stuff. I'm like, can we just save that broken piece of code and look at it later and then, continue on? You're like, yeah.
My memories from the FM4 were just a bunch of just fun side project stuff while we were working on DM4. I had different...
Well, and FM was mostly your idea. Like, we could do a filter, I guess. I'm like...
You just get it rolling. Yeah, okay. You just leave it rolling. Okay. Fabulous.
Not a lot. Most of FM4 was you.
Yeah,
from what I remember.
It was, I was just kind of getting my sea legs on the DM4, so I was making all of these other models at the same time that weren't necessarily based on anything, but kind of inspired by stuff. So, they all had filter manipulation.
When I was digging around for vinyl, I found my old raw 8-bit FM4.
Oh yeah?
Which I had loaned a Tool for 10,000 days. I loaned a bunch of pedals.
Hey, I got a question.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
Dude, why is that DL4 green anyway, huh?
There's a reason why it's green. There actually is a reason. How are you?
I'm good, how are you? Hey, Angelo. I'm just crashing your party, man.
Marcus is one of our great mentors. He is the founder, or I guess co-founder, one of 3 co-founders of Line 6 originally, and tons of music gear before that, all the way back to Oberheim synthesizers, Alesis products, tons of stuff.
So much, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think my first interactions with Marcus, he's such an amazing cheerleader. You always pump me up. I was just some young guy, coming from Detroit, not really having any experience. And so that early kind of belief was really impactful. Like, wow, here's the founder of the company. He believes in me. and then over the years, always having an open door policy. So I think every time I had a question, you were there for me. And something you always said that stuck with me was, hey, just let this be a learning experience. You might be doing this on your own someday. So 100% super grateful for all of those talks. Yeah.
For me, it was because I knew Greg Westall, and through a course of events, I got called about the pedals to kind of help out, and then Greg was like, you should work here. And so I came up and met you, and Greg went to lunch, and I was like, sure, yeah. I had no idea what I was doing. And that's how I met. And so then we worked on all of these, and then the tone cores, and yeah, it was great. I call Line 6 my college. Having not gone to college, it was like, just learned a ton of stuff, so it was a lot of fun.
That's great. It makes me so proud, honestly. Yes, it's like I often talk about Oberheim as my college. That was my first 5 years. I learned so much, and nothing can make me happier.
This product is interesting. It's one of the early floor amp modelers, which I think there's a lot of them now.
Yeah, there are actually.
There really wasn't this.
It's like it was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would have been Tone Core's 2004, so that would have been 2002.
Something like that. Yeah, 2001, 2002. Yeah, and it was really voicing amp models to go in front of an amp and to drive an amp. And then we had multiple setup modes. You could, go direct or go in front of an amp.
Didn't we have 2 two settings where, depending on if you were using an open back or closed back.
Yeah.
How the hell do you remember that? I don't remember that at all. I barely remember AM4. I'm like, yeah, the red one that we did because it's like, hey, we could do it.
I think,
and we want to do more pedals, and we were like, we kind of wanted to stay with pedals.
you know, if I had to guess, I think that was an era, because like I said, this is early 2000s maybe.
Yeah.
It was an era when if you were using a real amp,
Yep.
that was your tone. That was your amp tone. You didn't really, it was kind of a weird concept. It's like, I'm going to put an amp tone in front of my amp tone.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I think
You don't
people
have
see it
amps.
very differently. Now you don't have amps, that's true. So I think that's why it was a little,
Yeah.
bit
Now
of an
things are more
oddball.
disembodied, where you just have your amp sound on your pedal board going into PAs. The next set of products I'd like to focus on that I worked on with Jeorge are the ToneCore line. Jeorge was the product manager, and I was the DSP engineer for these line of single stomp pedals that we worked on together. We had 2 series of the ToneCores. We released 5 or 6 of the original, which was Echo Park and its brethren, and then we went and did the second series, which had Verbzilla kind of as the star.
there were 9, I think, in total.
11 plus plus some artist.
That I don't remember that.
Yeah, 11 plus artist one-off ones. These were kind of had a special feature of having removable brains, where you could
Modules.
buy modules, so you could have 1 dock or 2 docks on your pedal board and have a series of modules that you could swap out. Almost like a Game Boy video game cartridge.
That was part of the inspiration for sure.
Yeah.
And a feature we kept a secret for a number of years
Yeah.
when the product was launched.
Yeah.
The modularity, I think that was my idea, for good or bad, and it was patented, but it was also part of how, from a business standpoint, I was able to make it easier to justify doing a whole line of stomp boxes. Because, you know, if you're gonna do separate die casts for everyone, it gets expensive and you don't know which ones are gonna be a hit. So there were some novel ideas here, which is why it was patented, is that the DSP was in the base. The converters, the DSP, it was basically a really smart module, and the processor. And the module was really just a UI and the code.
Yeah.
So you literally could put the module in to any dock and it would know how to run that code. So the module was very inexpensive. And there were a number of other things. We wanted the small size. I'm particularly fond also of, which is not often known, that the pedal had 2 foot switches.
I was about to say that the dual was
that was a
really
really
cool.
big deal. Because, yeah, you could do tap tempo, and then when you pushed on it hard, you got the good click, and that was the on-off.
There was only one other Verb pedal unless the hardwire were out, but there was the Boss, and we were done. We were finished up. It was named. We had all the models, and then Angelo calls me up. He's like, "Hey, come to my office." I walk down. I go over there, and he shows me Octo, which is the first shimmer, is what it's called now, in a pedal, and I'm like, that's really cool. That's got to go in. What do we take out? And so where Octo is, and I brought one, it was a gate. It had a gated reverb in there. And so it was sort of I mean, we were like done, and we just snuck it in under the wire. So that's where Shimmer came from, him.
Well, a
Yeah.
happy accident. It was actually a coding error in the pre-delay. Yeah, yeah. So it was just a simple mistake. It was a 1 line of code, but what it did was double the read speed of the pre-delay, and so it gave an octave. And then once that happened, I'm like, oh my gosh, like an octave into this tank. This sounds incredible. And so we refined it from there. But it was a happy accident for sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember hearing it the first time, and it's, you know, for anyone watching, if you don't realize it, Angelo is a DSP genius. So there's no question about it. And it was just always a marvel to walk into your office and you'd have something else cooked up and you'd listen, you go, what is that? That's amazing. And
You did, I remember on the Variax, when you put the Leslie in.
I had synth samples.
Right, and synth samples, so you made it like a real organ guitar, and it was like, oh my God, we should do that. That's cool.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
I know.
so much that never saw the light of day.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That
It's
was
a shame.
So this one is just like again, you know, me throwing in a couple of vintage stupid ideas and then you doing a bunch of crazy ass shit.
Yeah, the idea was making a flanger and really adding modifiers, adding like little different LFOs, step sequencers, envelopes, not only triggered envelopes, but also envelope followers. So it was really getting a broad range of control over the delay line of your flanger. And then we also were big Eventide fans.
What was that Eventide rack? They had the phase shifter and the
flanger.
It's
Instant?
Yeah,
Insta-Flange.
Insta-Flanger. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, it's the Led Zeppelin flanger, and getting that crazy drum sound. It's a mixture of phasing elements and delay elements, and so that's what the liquid in Liqua-Flange is. The Insta-Flanger. The next tone core I'd like to feature is our custom artist Dynamo flange, and if you guys will remember, we talked about this a little bit in our last Cooking with Meris video with Dweezil. So, George, what do you remember about this?
So James brought me over to Dweezil's because, as most people know, I'm a very big Van Halen fan, and Dweezil had the Rasta guitar, and I wanted to see it, which is the Circles guitar. If you're a Van Halen person, you know all this, but it's one of the stage guitars from the Fair Warning tour and Diver Down tour. So I wanted to see this guitar, so I go over and I'm hanging out and I get to see it, and it's great. And at the end, Dweezil starts talking about this this mic mix Dynamo-Flange or whatever. What the hell is it called?
Dynamo-Flange.
The Dynamo-Flange, and I'm like, so we're pulling up a schematic because he was like, "Can you make this?" And I'm like, "I see Redicon, I see no." But I said, "But I know a guy who really likes your dad, and he might do it, right? He might be able to do it." I'm like, so I connect. That's okay. I'm out. Like, here, you guys talk. And so then you started going over and working on that.
No, yeah, and I actually thank Frank a little bit for connecting with Line 6, because I brought up Zappa during my first visit to Line 6 with Michelle. He's like, "Oh, you're okay? You like Zappa?" And so that's an instant bonding with Michelle. But yeah, that's right. So I was just really blessed to be able to get Frank's Dynaflangers and get my hands on them,
And you still had both of them when we started Meris.
Yeah. Still,
right at the beginning.
Yeah, I did. I had them. I still had my hands on them. now they're back at Dweezil's studio. We started working on just getting that algorithm perfected, and then this was in the ToneCore Developers Kit. You can see a little USB. There's a special fun project that we all kind of worked on together, where we worked with Motorola and developed a little kit for people to program at home to learn how to do DSP.
You know, it's funny, that was probably ahead of its time
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think there were just a couple universities that did sign up on it, but the idea, and Motorola was on board. I mean, you literally you learn how to write your own DSP code for audio and make it do whatever you want.
Some company did do one at least.
Red Panda sold kind of a bit crusher, and for a long time they sold a module. They make tons of great pedals now, the Tensor, but to get their start, they had a module that they sold on their website. Yeah.
You know, I remember thinking it's kind of like, you know, I would think about how you started, and no, but I mean, in analog days, you could just be on by yourself and just experiment all you want.
Yeah.
You buy parts. It wasn't expensive to do. You could trial and error, whatever. But with digital, it was a lot harder. You couldn't really make your own board on your own back then and everything.
No,
and we really liked the idea
world.
that, you know, some kid somewhere could potentially, you know, we sold it pretty cheap. Wasn't it like $199?
Yeah.
You got the bass,
Yep.
and you got a programmable module, and you got the code.
Yeah, the whole suite of tools from Motorola.
All these tools. And it was like, we just thought, wow, it would be so cool. It's like, where's the next Angelo?
Who's gonna show up somewhere, yeah. And what you're holding is another custom artist pedal.
So this was, it never really made it out. So at some point, I don't remember what year, so the tone cores were out, rack muddlers were out, so I got a call to go to Van Halen's, because Ed had been using the DL4 on something had a couple of presets, and they wanted to pull the presets out of the DL4 and put it in their Echo Pro. I'm like, well, can't really do it that way. I said, I can, we can come up. And so I brought Angelo up and basically made Angelo do all the work.
Yeah, 5150. I was happy to. Like, hey, who gets
Like,
to go
we're
to
going up there,
5150?
and so we went up, and Angelo basically programmed his sounds from his DL4 into his Echo Pro, and that was sort of the reconnect with Van Halen. And then some months later, he contacted us and came out, which is the story that you gave him the directions, if you want to tell that story.
Yeah. We told Eddie how to get to the new building, and we just said, turn here, and then you'll get in the parking lot. Just park anywhere. So of course for Eddie that meant park like diagonally right across the front stairs,
So no one
to
could
the
get in or
building.
out, yeah.
and he walks in and goes, "You said I could park anywhere." So he did.
So he had this actually really great idea at the time, and so it was this, and no one's ever talked about this. So this is like sort of the first. We'll get to this. But
I'm sure Wolfie probably has the prototype still.
it's still up there. So it was like this mini short scale Fender guitar, and he wanted to be able to record his like ideas and stuff. And so he wanted amp sounds, and he wanted a recorder, and I have all the messages. Literally, when he's spelling out which Olympus model digital recorder was. So we developed a pod.
Yeah, I ported all the amp models from his favorite pod tones into a smaller package. We made a custom board.
Did a 3D printed little module that went in with all the knobs, and then this Olympus digital recorder. And so Angelo ran off and did this, which was, because Ed just wanted one knob. It's like, I just need more. and so Angelo did this like it's a single octave, right?
Yeah,
it's
just your blend. It's a blend.
It's a blend,
so,
yeah.
you're blending in your octave sound.
And I know you said when he came to the office, he tried it.
Yeah, he played through it. Yeah,
But he never. I don't remember giving him one.
No, I don't think so.
Because mine, I don't even have one with. So either you did this yourself, and I gave you a panel, or
You gave me a kind of a package of anodized plates, and I made that. So
and you'll I don't know if you might not know this or no, he knows this, but the reason they look this way is because that's what I did with Way Huge. Way Huge was grained anodized aluminum, so I picked purposely all the tone chords.
It's definitely a callback.
Like a little Way Huge.
Yeah,
I was like, no, it's cool. It'll look good. Trust me.
it looks great.
So yeah, this was. I wish he would have got it because he probably would have used it, but yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, just kind of
didn't get there. But the guitar's super cool.
And I know, what happened with that. I remember, Ed, I think, actually wanted us to build the guitar, and I'd found that there was some guy who had made an obscure patent that used, and this will get you the era, it was a guitar with a mini disc recorder built in. But the patent was broad enough, and I told Ed, I go, look, there's a patent on a guitar that has a recorder built in. So if you want to do this, we would need to contact this guy and see if he'll let us pay a license fee or whatever. And I think that's when Ed was kind of like,
he's got his.
I have mine. So he had his. No one else gets one. That's the way it goes.
And I would like to introduce our rack line of studio modelers, which evolved from the work that George and I did on the Stompbox modelers. So pretty much all at the same time under development were the Echo, the Mod, and the Filter Pro. These were rack mount units meant to live in the studio. The floor incarnations, the Stompbox modelers, were much more widely used on the stage, but we wanted to have record producers and engineers have access to all of the same sounds in the studio, which we went with the 19-inch rack mount format.
Sure are pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're very blinged out. So we then kind of transitioned into this guy, which never made it out.
That was a request, so I don't know how it got even to me, but apparently on the U2's How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, the Edge had 11 DM4s, so they would just program it, save it, and somehow, probably through Tim, like, well, can't you just put them in a rack modeler? And at that time,
Well, you should explain. The DM4 could only store 4
right,
presets.
you could only hold 4.
That was the issue.
So he had 11,
Right.
so 44 presets, and they didn't know what they were going to use live, and they're not MIDI or anything like that. So they're like, well, can't you just put it in a rack? And we're like, well, one, we don't make the racks anymore. They'd kind of been discontinued.
Yeah.
and we never made one for distortion. And so it sort of became this whole topic, and you know, you gave us the green light. It's like, hey, if you've got some time, you guys can work on it. And so you, me,
Dave
Calvary, and Jason Lynn did that. So, and when we we're trying to find like any modelers around the rack ones, just because like we don't have any and we can't just pull from supply. So we're finding them all. And so I would take all the front panels and I had them all re-anodized locally and then screened at a local shop. And then
clear coated at Tom Anderson's shop.
well, no, what happened is Tom had a laser etcher, and so on 6 of them, so there was a dozen of these things made, he etched in, custom made for the edge. And we spent a bit of time on that.
Yeah, it was.
Because there was hardware that had to get tweaked on it.
Yeah.
And
All of the studio modelers have an input and output gain stage and clip lights. And this is level matching for any of your other studio gear, synths, recording consoles. When Dallas received our first DM4 Pro, he's like, this isn't working right. It's like, it doesn't sound anything like the Stompbox modeler, the DM4. So he was called in a panic because he was really excited to take these on the road and they didn't sound the way the Edge wanted them to sound. So sent them back. And what I did is I opened up and just disconnected the pots and matched the gain staging to perfectly match what the DM4 is doing. So I went through, with the schematics, just part by part, and took out, removing a fair bit. So these knobs do nothing now. But
just the exact input section.
It's actually really important on a distortion box.
Right.
That was, it made sense in
That's why we didn't do it
right?
rack.
Yeah.
Because it was a whole new product.
Because if you feed a distortion box with a different signal level, it sounds completely different.
Absolutely.
At the end. But worth mentioning also on the racks, one of the big features that the pros wanted was lots more presets. So you must have, Angelo, how did you deal with taking these 11 DM4s and all the presets, and again, no MIDI or whatever?
I think they just did all
They
that.
They had to manually basically redo each program into the rack.
Just like he did for Ed.
But you could do I imagine it was 100
presets,
right?
Yep.
In the
Yep.
rack.
100 presets in each rack.
So that was enough. They only needed 44.
Yeah, a million and a half. Yeah, I don't know if he still uses it, but I think it's still a big wave.
one sound that is kind of unmodified, if you choose the classic distortion on the DM4, which is the Rat, that's the Vertigo song distortion. So you hear it in the beginning of the song where it's just basically Bono and the DM4. Like that's the sound you hear is the Rat of the DM4.
Something like that. Welcome to another edition of Cooking with Meris. Today I will be pouring a drink for myself, and my favorite drink is a rye whiskey neat. Today I brought a Top Hat Monocle blend number 14, which I blended myself. They're quite rare, and if you wanted something similar, you might find a Whistle Pig 10-year-old or a McMaster's, which is also a 10-year-old, I believe. So now I'm going to pour this lovely whiskey and see how it tastes after 6 years. Cheers. That's better than I remember. Yeah, it's a nice little bite, very rye. So this is a 70% rye. The Whistle Pig they're gonna be 100% rye, which is honestly even a little better for me. And they'll be higher proof. So yeah, it's good. It's been a while.